So I just make an introduction to present myself. I'm Marcelo. So I'm part of this educational program, and I'm very honored to be here with you. And this is Patricia that comes to be our hand here, technical hand, but she's also a teacher. And I give you the floor, Surya, so you can present yourselves as well. And I'm very honored, very happy. This is a big honor for me to be among you.
So thank you, Marcelo. Good evening, good day, good morning, Marcelo and Patricia. First of all, on behalf of all Indonesian port workers, dockers, and seafarers, especially from SPGICT, our union, the Federation FBPI, and also the another union of port workers under state-owned company. We also invite them. We want to thank you for this opportunity as well to you, Marcelo and Patricia. We also appreciate for this valuable opportunity to learn and collaborate with your team at UFF and Nemo, if I don't mistake it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, so my name is Surya. I'm the deputy president of SPJCT Trade Union. Uh, Together with me, there are several comrades of SPJCT. We got Firman, the secretary, Rio, the members. Uh, we got sorry, it's small uh, fonts here, and also the vice president of FVPI, brother Sofian, that talked to you previously. So basically, uh, SPGICT is one of the strongest union in Indonesia in term of port union. We based in Tanjung Priok, Jakarta. We got strong militant tradition. We also fight for the privatization, anti-privatization, uh, and we have been fight since 1999. We firstly established in 1999, and in 2016 we established the federation called FPPI. Firstly, only port workers because it called FPPI. So the English translation is Indonesian Port Workers Federation. But in 2021, we also amalgamated with the Seafarers Union. So now it's officially Indonesian Indonesian Maritime Workers Federation. So we, in Federation, we focus on labor rights, national port policy reform, and worker-driven management, and actively involved in international solidarity and political education initiatives. So both SPGICT and FPPI were joined. We've been joined with ITF for since 2007, but FPPI just joined in 2016. And also we got SPPI, Pelindo, a state-owned company for port operator. The SPPI Workers Union represent workers of Pelindo, Indonesian State-Owned Port Corporation, and we want them to join because they just, I don't know, maybe someone from SPPI will explain further because they are now restructuring the union, and this is also great opportunity to learn how to start the restructure process. That's what I get from them. I sense it, but they can explain for the right context. I think that's from me. Maybe other brothers, sisters, comrades want to say something, or is yeah. I put back to you, Marcelo.
I I give you the floor to present the other comrades present one by one, and then we can come back and then we pass through the presentation, and then I go back to you, let's do this way. I think it's the because I really would like to know them and their expectation, why they're here, and it's an honor, as I said.
Right. Thank you, comrade. I think I will let
Aku.
comrades themselves to introduce. Maybe start with Brother Sufyan.
Okay. Thank you, Brother Surya. Thank you, Marcelo and Patricia. My name is Sofyan. The Sofyan L. Commandant. I'm the Secretary General of SAKTI, in English, Indonesian Seafarer Trade Union, member of the Federation Indonesian Worker Federation, to the ITF too. Experience years at sea, before I'm seafarer, but now since 20,000, I'm organized the Seafarer Union. My home base in Jakarta. That's all. Over to another person. Sorry.
Thank you, comrade.
Okay, thank you, Brother Sofyan. I think we go to Brother Firman. Hello? Brother Firman? Or maybe Rio? Introduce yourself, Rio.
Okay, good night, Marcelo and Patricia. My name is Rio. I am member of SPJCT, home base at Tanjung Priok, Jakarta. I think that's all.
Thank you, Rio. Thank you so much for me.
Thank you, Marcelo.
So next up, maybe anyone? David?
Yes, I'm here, brother.
Please introduce yourself, brother.
Let me introduce myself. Good day for Marcelo and Patricia. Let me introduce myself. My name is David Perkasa. I'm a member of SVGICT in Tanjung Priok, especially container terminal. I live also in Jakarta, and then maybe I have one daughter and also one wife only. I think that's all for my introducing myself. Thank you for the time. Maybe my brother Surya could be continue for the next step.
Thank you, David.
Yes, most welcome, brother.
Mariati, you want to say something?
Okay. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Clearly.
Okay. Hello, everybody. My name is Mariati. I'm a member of the SPGICT, and I work at GICT as a planner, like with the brother David. We are the same department, and then I like to I like to study with you, Mr. Marcelo. Please share your knowledge about the logistic and everything. Thank you.
Thank you, Mariati. Welcome, and I hope that you can share with me too. Thank you.
Of course.
So brothers and sisters in ITF and MUA very familiar with Mariati, comrade.
Nice meeting you, Mariati.
Brother Thibault. Thibault? I think Ervina.
Hi everyone. My name is Efrina. I am from SPTP or subholding of Pelindo that manage container terminal in Indonesia. So uh, uh, we have some container terminal around Indonesia. Actually, our union worker in SPTP just established at the end of 2014. So this is an honor to us because SPGICT have invited us to this discussion. So I want to follow all the session of this discussion. Thank you.
Thank you, Everina.
Ervina, are you stay in Surabaya or Bali?
Surabaya. Oh yeah, SPTP is located in Surabaya. Our head office of container terminal subholding is located in Surabaya, but we have so many branch around Indonesia, like in Semarang, Tanjung Priok, Belawan, Banjarmasin, Makassar, and until Papua. We already have terminal there.
So how many members of your union?
Our union, actually, SPTP is DPC. What is DPC in English? I can I don't know.
Branch
So
office.
yeah, branch of union worker in Pelindo. Head office of union worker is located in Jakarta under Pelindo Holding. In Pelindo Holding, they have SPPI Bersatu as union worker. Under SPPI Bersatu, there are 4 subholding, SPTP for container terminal, SPMT for non-container terminal, and then SPGM for marine support, and then SPSL for logistic solution. And under for subholding, uh, there are so many brands and subsidiary, but I'm not sure how many union worker under subholding, because after merger we haven't finished with the structure.
I think more than 5,000 your members.
Yeah, I think so.
More than 5,000.
Yes.
Okay, thank you, Ervina.
Thank you, Everina.
You're welcome.
Next one we got Brother Anton. Introduce yourself.
Hello, good evening, everyone. My name
Evening.
Anton, SPGTP. I live in BSD. Thank you.
Thank you, Anton.
I think that's all. Firman, I cannot see Firman. Firman, you
Patrícia,
there?
Patrícia, if you can switch Firman, if he's in the backstage. Se ele estiver atrás, coloca ele, por favor. Yeah, GDEG also, comrade. Surya, there is
Yeah.
GDEG.
There is what?
Mais ninguém no estúdio,
Okay.
no backstage, ok?
Comrade GDEG.
Zidek?
Yeah, G-I-D-E-G, GDEG.
I think that's the participant from other union.
Yeah, it's just to present himself. That's why it was. But we can jump and then he can come later on.
I cannot see the name. Sorry.
Yeah, Comrade GDEG, if you can introduce yourself, please. If maybe he's not available, he's just watching, so we can. I think we can pass to the other step, right?
Oh, GDEC, it's Brother Yogi.
Yogi, yeah.
Introduce yourself. I think
maybe he's just listening, Surya.
Right.
So I will, with your permission, I will pass to some things that you addressed about the curriculum. So the course is aimed at any cadres, the trade union, port workers, strategic workers. Doesn't have to be, as you said, maritime. It can be other workers in port cities, in all major cities, logistics. So as Mariatti said, so logistics is very important for us. And we know that Indonesia is a very big country. So it can be as you see that it's important to be present, or you can watch later on. So the participants, the chosen leaders of the different port cities in Indonesia, as I said, including non-port workers, the university will need a list of participants for graduation. So this is, we have 1 year to provide, so it's not now, but we can provide a starting list and then change later on. And I recommend the young people participation so that we can invest in the training of new cadres for the future and help you with that. Technical requirements, I really apologize for StreamYard platform. I don't know if it's popular in Indonesia, but it's the one that we chose to work with. So it will be in the computers and the cell phones. And these classes will happen in one day per month. So it will be chosen by mutual agreement. And the time, I think this time is the best, because we have to agree with Indonesia, with France, and with Brazil. And the reason I'm in Indonesia, you may ask, is that I'm doing research in the European ports, but not just European. I'm at the middle. If I would be in Latin America, it would be very hard to come to you, and the tickets and the logistics of traveling, it's also complicated if we are in Latin America. And most important, before going to the presentation, I would say that you won't hear me talk much about the Western ways of saying that what is democracy, what is authoritarianism, corruption, bureaucracy, NGOs, religion, fundamentalism, Islam, etc. Because here I will look for tools to unite the working class, especially for port workers, maritime, dockers communities, and port cities. So my starting point is the centrality of labor and workers. How can we unite? And from there, we can discuss all the issues you want to discuss, including the ones I just said that I would not go all the time talking about, oh, this is a problem of corruption. This is a problem of democracy. Oh, Indonesia is a big democracy. No, I want to talk about that, but I want to especially talk from the perspective that we are talking about in the labor center perspective, especially Docker's perspective and maritime perspective and logistics perspective. And this is the way that I would add. Well, as I said at the beginning, and will need a lot of your contribution to learn, because I was explaining Surya and Sofian. My experience comes from Brazil and Latin America and the Caribbean. Then has the Portuguese and European. I studied a little bit in South Africa, in India, but I really need to shape this experience with you so we can exchange Indonesia and then share with other countries that are participating in this program and other countries that will watch us. So it's like you would be ambassadors for Indonesia in the labor perspective. So the other thing is about the BRICS. Indonesia just joined the BRICS and Brazil is part of the BRICS. The Global South watched the BRICS, and then in the perspective, BRIC countries are very similar. I would say that Brazil, people don't know that, but Brazil is very similar to Indonesia in many aspects, as the way I see. But you teach me the differences, and the most important, what is related, what we can complement. And I will learn, as I said, a lot from you, because the basis of our course is a national social thinking. So we come from the perspective that there is a national social thinking. So there is, and I believe strongly that there's a national social think from Indonesia to be shared with the world. And there are other topics that will complement the study, especially the heart of our work, organizational work, so grassroots work, port culture, and in this way, maritime complements it. And even though maritime culture is I would say it's older a little bit than the port culture, but they are complementary one to the other. And popular fronts to increase the rights of workers at the port city. Also, one thing that catches me a lot in Indonesia is management, modernization, and productivity, which connects what Mariatti said before about logistics, and us internationally speaking. And we see campaigns of solidarity with port workers. There's a situation now in El Salvador with dockers. It's very, very bad. We can discuss this later. The Cuban dockers also, they suffer a lot. There are many places in the world that we can be solidary. And health and safety, especially mental health. This is the speciality of Patricia, and we will discuss that. What for us is most, and at the end, what for me, and I would say that for us is a very difficult but sincere debate, achieving an ideal and concrete work environment for port and maritime workers in this sense. So how can we build our ideal and concrete work environment place? This is something that we will think a lot. And there is, I don't know, for those who were at the ITF Congress in Morocco 2024, so I've heard a lot about North American dock workers, how they proceeded in their strikes and their movements, etc. But we don't listen a lot how Chinese workers participate in organized labor, because they are not in the common federations that we are. That's why this course is not linked to any global federation, because we want to go beyond. We want to unite all the workers through education. And this is very interesting, so we can add to that, and I believe that this is important topic as well. Indonesia, as I heard, has banned the export of non-value added products, especially nickel. And we will discuss how this affects port workers and maritime, for example, because the more wealth that passes through the port industrialized, the more value added, the more port workers and maritime can theoretically participate in this wealth. And this is central for us. In this way, I will present a brief presentation. This course aims to help Indonesian port and maritime workers and strategic workers to live better, to see their lives, their communities, their port cities move forward and not backward, and to leave a legacy for future generations, a better environment, not just a worse for the future generations. So we are linked with the future generations. What does it mean to work with a decent salary, under organized work exclusively, in this way organized by trade unions, or with a goal of trade union participation and control in this labor organizing? With maybe one day, or you will teach me, with a 6-hour workday, with a 4 or 5 days a week, to have more time for our families, for our communities, for the place we worship, doesn't matter which religion we profess, to study, and for ourselves. And to live better means also starting to think about retiring, because usually the governments wants to push the age, to, in this sense, to pull the age of our retirement. So we would think about how to retire in our prime. That is, our prime is around 55 years old. As Plato, Greek philosopher, said, is when we match around 50s, when we are wise and still strong. So this is an age to think about retirement. It doesn't mean we will retire, but we have to think about that and how to plan it. So this is all seems quite ideal, but this is on the horizon for the debate. Okay, so I will pass the presentation. Patricia, if you can please put the presentation. I think this is the beginning, please. Ministro Patrícia, por favor. So the presentation will give you some. So we are here we have this beautiful image for 19th century docks, a training for dock workers, management, port culture, and memory, and the challenges of the new global supply chains. As Mariette said, that she wants to learn. So I want to learn with you all, but from the workers' perspective. So this is, as we will touch so the academia is inviting you for a labor perspective, not a boss perspective and not a state perspective, but a labor perspective of what these words mean. Próximo, por favor. So research, training, and legacy for dock workers. This university training and development course is designed for stevedores, longshoremen, dockers, because stevedores were the words that we used before, and we will learn a new word today, even older than that. But these are the nucleus of this, the port tradition and culture and memory. So these are the stevedores, longshoremen, but we currently use the word in English, dockers or port workers. But here we add the maritime and the other strategic workers in port communities and cities through the study of port culture, memory, thinking, and issues related to exchange chains of goods and cultures. Why do I say that? Because Indonesia is full of cultures, full of languages, and I apologize for not speaking any one of them. English is our link, so between Portuguese and all the Indonesian languages. So English is working, but we know in Brazil, less than 30% of the population speak English, because our second language would be Spanish. And then in Indonesia, I did some research. Not many people speak English. And then this is a barrier, and we have to overcome. And I'm learning a lot with African countries that we don't have to erase our own language to get into a global language. So I know that some of the languages, the Indonesian languages, are very, very big, but nowadays we have English, we have other languages that can make the bridge, and that's what we're doing today. So, but I apologize having English as a main language of our course, but it's the way it is. We have to deal with that. So the new global routes of transport and supply. This is central for us. And we will seek to train port and strategic workers in an academic way using their knowledge. So from their perspective, to increase the people's power in general. Preparing a port worker who may train another port worker, a maritime that will train another maritime, a rail worker that will train another rail worker. This is our way, because I cannot, you are as teachers, Sai, for Indonesian and for others in this program, but I will not reach them. First of all, because I don't speak Indonesian, and many of the dockers and maritime, maybe they don't. And the other way is that I won't be dealing with that directly. You know, I learn and teach, teach and learn, so you can do the same. Próximo, por favor. So the research, it's within its various stages of building a legacy for dock workers. So it's not just university extension training. This is just one part of it. So it is part of a big program that started in Brazil 3 years ago, just with Brazilians, and then it came to other nationalities. So it's, of course, the heart would be this university extension training, but also there's a research with dock workers and communities. I will be sending Surya later this research that we are dealing in other countries in English, so you can see. There are also one wish that I would love, not just as a Brazilian Portuguese or a Brazilian, because the Brazilians, they talk a lot about Bali, you know, they're very, very linked to Bali because of surf, but as a trade unionist, and especially here as a teacher, I really want to see how Indonesia became this big country for workers in the 21st century. So I would like to visit the ports and the port cities in Indonesia, the strategic cities in Indonesia. We will write together and contribute to articles and scientific papers from the workers' perspective, because usually they are done from the boss's perspective and the state perspective. So we will try to change that, you know, to give voice to our people, to our dock workers, our maritime workers, in the way they see the world. And it's a big will and wish also to make a documentary, or to gather a documentary material and audiovisual material from you, so we can add to a center for port memory. And this center can be immaterial, non-material, or material. And it can be in Indonesia, but it can be also in the internet. And this is part of a postdoctorate research that I'm conducting from Brazil. So it's with other colleagues. So this is the big view, the big picture. Okay? Próximo. So the centrality of university extension education applied to empirical research and visits to ports. To develop of a questionnaire to be administered to dock workers in their workplace, this is a complement, which constitutes the research in its local and universal core, because the dockers, the maritimes as well, but I will be focusing more on the dockers culture. The dockers culture is a universal culture, but it's also particular. Just Indonesia have this dock culture that will be shared with other people. So we want to exchange experiences and knowledge so people can exchange their culture, the global culture, but also local culture. The development of more intimate and qualitative dialogue, interviews, debates during visits to ports in relation with local union and community leaders of the port city. Because the port city has a tradition as well. I would just to know what I would say. So I was talking with Sofian about, he said that he went to Santos and to Rio de Janeiro. And then these cities are port cities. They were based in port culture, like Hamburg, like Marseille, like London. So these are port cities. And I would say that Jakarta also, it's a port city. So these cities have its own culture, and we will study and exchange views about that. The development of a critical dialogic and dialectical university extension. So what we are doing, education on the management, culture, and memory of port workers is encouraged. And this, when we say management, it's the way we view culture is the way we view memory is our culture, our memory, our management. So that's the way. Próximo, por favor. And then we have this education through university extension works on 12 central themes. These are the themes we will be discussing in the classes, but other important topics will be addressed, as Surya asked me, in the working groups. So that we will try to cover everything in a way that, not everything because we will not do it, but in the way that we want to share what you want and what is being done with the other nations as well, okay? So we are doing the introduction today. We have a national social thought, and we proposed one major thought that I later will explain why I chose this Indonesian thinker, because it deals with that. What is Indonesia within the national social thought? It comes from the independence of Indonesia, all this effort. These leaders try to think what would be the contribution of the Indonesian people for the world. And that's what we want to go to the core. We work on this worker scientific method. We have to approach things not in the, as a Brazilian pedagogics would say, in a magical way, but in a scientific way. We have the supply chains. We will deal with that. Grassroots organizational work, is how we deal with that. Dockers culture, but when I say Dockers here, it's a much broader, but it's the core is Dockers culture. So we can say maritimes as well. We will try to make a link between both. But other also, if it's a rail worker, an airline worker, it will be added to that. But the Dockers culture is in the center. I will explain why it's in the center of it. Popular fronts to defend our rights, going beyond ourselves as Dockers and maritime and other strategic workers. So how to link our wills to others. Legislation, it's very important. And as I said, management, modernization, and productivity, but not the way that the bosses usually look at productivity and modernization. That means less people working, and more money made. But how to share this as a common for us, for everybody. Internationalism, health, and especially mental health and work environment. And when I say work environment, it's not just the docks, it's not just the port, it's how we live in our cities, our communities, but from our labor perspective, because it doesn't. We will listen this from me a lot. I don't want to have an ecological approach that quits the social and labor approach. This is not possible. If we are not in the labor approach to it, then we are not labor. We are not workers, because we come from our perspective. So as I said, other important topics will be addressed in the working groups. Próximo, por favor. Important topics to be addressed in the working groups. As Surya said, we will be addressing that, historical and political education, supply chain port industry knowledge, workers cadres, so it's very important how the leadership is built, legal knowledge for Indonesian unions, campaign and movement strategies, vision for the future, so SPGICT as agent for change, and other trade unions as they are added, and prohibited practice, because every culture and every country has its own limits, and we have to deal with that in a scientific way. Próximo, por favor. This drawing is the core of what we, they have a say that an image speaks more than 1,000 words. So this drawing is very important to see our place as dockers in this global, local, regional, alternative supply chain. So we are in the center here, in the center. The port workers' power is in the center. So we have on one side consumption of everything that exists in the world, and the other side we have production. And the port is in the middle. It's strategic, placed in the middle, because like in Brazil, like in Germany, like in England, like in Indonesia, especially Indonesia, the ports have a very strategic place to play. And then if we, on one side, we hear privatization, circulation, modernization, we also know that this is a bottleneck, because the bosses and the government talk a lot, all the ports, especially in Indonesia, the ports are a bottleneck. But it's good that it's a bottleneck, because we are well placed. There's a very, very interesting battle that was between the Greek and the Persians. And the name of the battle is Thermopylae, when the Greeks stopped an army of 10,000 Persians with just 300 soldiers, because that place is a strategic point. And that's the king of Sparta was glorified for that. Leonidas is his story. And the port is a place that we have to understand. And do you see the strategic importance of dock workers in this plan? Because it's a bottleneck of the capitalist production and circulation system. It's the system that we have in the world. And there's a global, local supply chain in the national, regional context. So we just don't have the global hegemonic supply chain, but we will understand other supply chains, how we connect within Indonesia, outside Indonesia, because Indonesia is between the Pacific countries and the Asian countries and the Indian countries in the ocean perspective. So it goes to Africa, it goes to Latin America, North America, and Europe. So this is very important. And this drawing is to invite the common worker on the floor to have a view of this. Próximo, por favor. So one view I would like to share with you, I said stevedores, longshoremen, and dockers. But the first from the West perspective, okay? Because that's the way that the Brazilian learns. So we come from the Greco-Roman way. So in the Mediterranean world, in Roman times, they were called Sakari. Sakari is from ranging the bags, ranging the goods, ranging the merchandise inside the ship and outside the ship. So the Sakari in the Roman times to the dockers of the future. So from this place, from this perspective to the 21st century. So what is offered by these global supply chains? For this alternative, the BRICS, people want to say the Chinese Belt and Road Initiative. It's not just Chinese. It's Brazilian. It's Indonesian. It's Ethiopian. It's also Russian. It's a global South perspective that is offered by supply chains, not just the one that goes from Europe or the United States to Indonesia and vice versa. So there are alternative supply chains. So if we understand the importance of port culture and in this way maritime, but port culture for the port city, can port culture improve the lives of the workers through commerce, through the supply chains? Can it improve for our communities within the city? Can we interfere with our culture, our thought in these cities? Does the exchange of goods and cultures in the global supply chain create wealth in the port and make the port city more progressive and livable for ourselves, for our families, for our friends? So this is important. So we will be addressing these questions. And in this way, what the Saccari gives us as a perspective, within the Roman times, the legionary, the legio, the mille, it's the name in Latin, they were the workers that were best paid in Roman times, the soldiers, because the Rome at its peak didn't have walls. The legions were the walls of Rome. So the Saccari, those who work at the ports, were the only ones, besides the bureaucracy of the empire, that had the same salary of the soldiers. Why? Because they understood that with their hands, they moved everything within the Mare Nostrum, the Mediterranean Sea. So they were the responsibles. So they were organizing themselves to share the goods how can we know that? Because the archaeologists studied how they ate, where they lived good, they ate good, they participate in their wealth. That's why we can understand. So this is a lesson for us. And I would like to know in the future how the Indonesian workers from the beginning, the dockers, how they would participate in the wealth under Indonesian for the first empire. I believe it was an Hindu empire, and then they had the Islam, and then they had the Portuguese, and then they had the Dutch. How the dockers participate in that? So this is something that we want to address. Próximo, por favor. Important aspects of Indonesia for working class to reflect on. This is something that we come as a student to you, okay? This is the way I feel it, so we can reflect. It's true or not, because we get a lot of bullshit in the West. And then I say Brazil about Indonesia. So it's not the proper image. So, but one very important thing that I learned is like with Russia, because the West always wanted to divide Russia. That's why it invaded Russia. The last time was in the time of the Soviet Union with a Nazi. But it's to break Indonesian apart. So since Indonesia's independence, Western countries have been betting on the fragmentation of the country due to its geography, ethnic, religious diversity. But I believe this is the force of Indonesia, to have a geography like that, to have ethnic richness and religious diversity. This is rich, but the workers have to unite themselves to see that. So I will not say, oh, my comrade Surya is Muslim, the other comrade Mariachi is Hindu, or the other one is Christian. This doesn't matter to me. This is I address the dock workers, the maritime workers, as Indonesian workers. And then we can be brothers and sisters, as you like to say, or we can be comrades the same way, because it's more or less the same in the same sense. But we have to be aware that these many countries, many specialists, they bet on the fragmentation of Indonesia. And this is not done without something behind. The other things that pleases me a lot, and there are only 5 countries in the world with this profile, that Indonesia, through their leaders, but also through their people, is one of the only countries in the world where more than 20% of its GDP, gross domestic product, is made up of manufactured goods. The others are Germany, if I don't fail, Germany, it's Japan, it's China, and the fifth one, I don't get it now, but I will. But it's only 5 countries, and Indonesia is one of them. And this is very, very important, because the more the value is added, the more we can, in theory, fight for our rights. This is important. We will discuss about it. Economic inequality is one of the highest in the world, with significant competitive low labor costs. This is the way that the bosses love to say about Indonesia. Indonesia has a competitive low labor costs. So it's a frontier for our investments. But on the other hand, we have to see that, like Brazil, it's one of the biggest inequalities in the world. So we have to address that as dock workers, or as maritime workers, as strategic workers, because we want the good of our people. And there are studies that show that by the year 2050, Indonesia will be the 4th largest economy in the world. There are some studies point out that one of the bottlenecks for Indonesia's development is its ports. So this addresses directly, because they, in order to get to be the 4th, just behind China, India, the United States, and Indonesia, and after they point Brazil as the 5th, we don't know if it's going to be like that, but it's the way the specialists say that. They have to address how their view will be imposed inside the ports. So this is, throughout the course, we will reflect about these, if they are true or not, and other issues as well. Próximo. Now we go into the course, the themes, as I said. So 12 classes. So introduction and presentation is today. National social thought of port workers and maritime and other cultures based on the thinker Tam Malaka. And why did I choose Tam Malaka? And I say, Surya and other comrades, Sofian and Mariatti and others, you can bring other thinkers for the day, for this second class. But why did I pick Tam Malaka? Because he has a link with Brazil in a way. First of all, he's a thinker, as far as I know, that wants to have a pedagogic view of workers. And this makes a bridge of the 2 of the pedagogic teachers of my perspective. It's Paulo Freire from Brazil, that is very linked to Tam Malaka. And the other one is Anton Makarenko from the Soviet Union. His approach was that labor can teach. Labor teaches always. Always labor teaches. And labor will teach when it's learning, will teach when you are a professional, and when it will teach when you are a retired worker. And Paulo Freire, as Tam Malaka would say, that we don't learn alone. We learn with other people, well, like we are doing today. So I contribute with you, you contribute with me. And he participated in what we say in Brazil. It's very important for Latin America and the Caribbean way of thinking, national social thought. How can Indonesia have its own national social thought? It can be one way, it can be another way, but we have to have this debate. And we shall debate in the second class. The third one is a scientific research, and we use a method. This is historical materialism, because we want a scientific approach for the concrete problems in the 21st century. Not just dockers, but maritime and the labor class in Indonesia and globally. The fourth is what our comrade said before, the trade and supply chains. So not just a global hegemonic supply chain, but local, regional, alternative, like the BRICS, the One Belt, One Road. So these are also important to be addressed. Próximo, por favor. The fifth one will build on what I see, the tri-P, of organizing. So first of all is organizing itself. One thing is very difficult to make. It's a union and grassroots councils. So we have organizing, agitation, propaganda, basic work. There are many names for organizing. The ITF has one way, the IDC another way, the WFTU another way. So organizing can be many things, but we will try to address, and at its core, it's a councils, okay? But it's complementing the trade union organizing. And the trade union complements the political, and it goes around. The sixth is port workers' culture. What does this culture mean? And where does it come from? And its memory. Because our culture is immemorial, comes from, as I said, the Sakari lived 2,000 years ago. So it's immemorial. So it's not like a rail workers and airline workers that it started in 200 years ago. It comes from before. It's like the miners. It's like those who work the land. This is an immemorial work culture, and it's within three conscience. We will deal with that in this class. 7 is the workers' front in the port city. How can we unite ourselves to defend workers, dockers, maritime, airline, etc., and communities' rights? How can we unite ourselves? 8 is port, labor, and strategic workers legislation. This comes with, Surya said, how can we build legislation? So this is also in the working group. Sometimes things will connect, so we can address in both places. Próximo 9. So the 9 will be port management, as I said, modernization, productivity, and we have to understand how artificial intelligence will deal with us. What is the right number for our work to preserve our culture? Is it 4 by term? Is it 20 as it used to be before, or like 100 nowadays? That is a number that is impossible to have by. I'm talking about working groups that are at the docks. So it can be 4, it can be 5, it can be 6, it can be 12, it can be 20, it can be. We will try to analyze that together with modernization, together with productivity, together with port management. Not just leaving port management in the hands of the bosses and the state. We have to participate with our minds in this. We have to think. For example, if the decision of the Indonesian government not to export ores of nickel without industrializing it, it's a decision we have to think, why was it done? Is it for our benefit, for the Indonesian people's benefit? And what about other things? When I was speaking with the Cameroonese people, and they are touching the minimum salary, the minimum national salary in Cameroon, and I said, no, the dockers need a minimum national salary for themselves. They are the ones that have to have their own national salary for themselves. It's not like the other workers. It's not a minimum for everybody. The dockers are not minimum workers like the maritime. So this is addressed also for what we export and what we import. So we have to think about that. When I say management, it's about that. The 10 is internationalism and dockers global culture. So it's a little bit how we can deal with the differences between the trade unions and the labor movement and how they organize themselves. And what is very, very important for us, because a trade union, comrades, it's in its core a combative place for the workers who seek us, but also a class place, also a unitarian place. We are not here to divide people, but to unite, but also at the end an international place. So even though we have a national social thought, because as Indonesians we need to think from our perspective, we need to link it to an international view, especially as dockers and maritime and the global supply chain. So, but the airline workers is the same. the rail workers the same. So we need to have these thoughts linked, and international is very special because it's part of our port and maritime, etc., cultural identity. Port health and dockers mental health. This is Patricia's specialty, workers' health and mental health within the 21st century. This is very important for us because we are becoming sick. We are becoming sick because of the ways the modernization, management, and the productivity is dealing with us. We are becoming sick in our bodies and our minds. And we need to preserve our culture, our thought, our memory, our power in the way that we can protect ourselves. And workers' environment, because this is about environment, but not just ecological, but economic, social, political, and labor environment. If someone say, oh, we are top 10, but pay a minimum salary, it's not a top 10 workers environment. Social things have to be addressed together with political, with labor, and with environmental. So these are linked things when we talk about environment within the 21st century. Próximo, por favor. So the importance of political cadres, what we are here. We are political cadres. We are trade union cadres, but we also social cadres. We are trade union cadres. We are political cadres in this broad sense. It's not a political party here that I'm talking about. It's politics in an Aristotelian way, global way. You know, the oikos, our economy, oikos is the Greek word for that. It's the big picture. It's the big picture, how we administrate our city, our port, our communities, our country. It's big, it's to think big. So we must be political cadres in this big picture. So understanding the power of dock workers in this way, maritime and other categories, in popular organizing the context of Indonesian working class and the global supply chains in Indonesia, Asia, and globally. And I would put the alternative route, the BRICS, to better organize and build popular power. The process of renewal of workers, popular forces, and the public control. And public control, I already explained, is not just the state. It's not just to vote. It's how our communities and ourselves participate in the future of ourselves. So it's public control, check and balance, like the Americans want to put. Even though sometimes I don't agree well how the way is put it, but it's a check and balance. Modern and sustainable port, we already spoke about that, in our communities and cities. Understand that the policy of training trade union, what we are doing, it's political and class cadres is necessary to advance the life of the working class. And we have to put in a way that it's important. It's not shown because the StreamYard is there to, they just put it there. But it's said that the university has to go to the workers and the workers have to go to the university because they have the same goal. Próximo, por favor, Patrícia. And I would love to thank you for this presentation, the patience. And let me say if I say right here, Terima kasih.
Well said, comrade.
Obrigado.
Oh, thank you. I give you the floor, Surya.
Okay, thank you for the presentation, Marcelo. Is it the next, what's the next agenda actually?
The next will be the National Social Thought. We will, for the next class, but it's the next month. No?
Oh, okay.
And I would ask you if there's someone that was not presented, if someone wants to present to themselves now. But this, for the next class, we will agree on the day together. So it's the best day for you guys and best day for us. So
right.
We'll pick a date.
So, yeah, after this, maybe I will establish the WhatsApp group so we can communicate better and to arrange the mutual day and time. And I will revert to you, Marcelo.
And I'm
So
here to
we,
take any doubts if you guys have. It's any questions, and so we
yeah.
can.
I see Eric, our Secretary of Federation. You want to
Hello,
say
Eric. Nice
something,
meeting you.
brother
Nice.
Eric?
I am Eric Prastio from SCPI Indonesia. Good night, Master.
Hello, Eric. Nice meeting you. It's an honor for me. Thank you so much.
So Eric is the
Yeah.
secretary of our federation. He is 50 plus now, but the militancy is very good.
Oh.
He is actively in
As Plato said, he's in his prime.
right on. He's very active in solidarity movement in Indonesia. Anyone else that I haven't been mentioned? I cannot see the name actually.
Yeah. Patrícia, os nomes não estão aparecendo. The names are not showing in the. I don't know. But if we turn the cameras, if we put the cameras like Comrade Eric did, you can recognize them.
Okay, teman-teman, sorry, I use bahasa, Marcel.
Okay.
Boleh nyalain kameranya? Brother Thibaut, say something, please.
Hello, Marcelo.
Hello, nice meeting you, Thibaut.
My name's Thibaut. I'm from Jakarta, SPJ City. It is nice to meet you. I think the presentation and the knowledge that will be shared is important for me, for us. Thank you very much. Merci.
Thank you too. And well, as I said, it's an honor for me. I will learn a lot with you.
Actually, Thibaut was born in France, Marcelo.
No.
Sorbonne, if I'm not mistaken, Sorbonne.
C'est pour ça que vous avez dit merci.
No.
That's why you said merci.
Just only merci.
Mm-hmm. Well, the French comes from the same root as my language. They are very connected. No? They are Romance languages, so they communicate. Like I believe the Indonesian languages, they have a branch with Malay, then the Papua, then the Indonesian itself. So it's these are the roots. So it's a little bit like the Greek and Latin were related. It comes from Indo-European root. So the same north of India until Europe, the same root for words. And then you have Semitic, like Arabic and right. Hebrew, Aramaic, and then you have other branches. So
we like melting pot.
Yeah, and in Latin America, the three big ones are the Maya from the Central America,
Inca,
comes the Inca, the Aztec, and in Brazil was a Tupi branch. Tupi is the local language. In Brazil, there are more than 300 languages, but they are not official. The only official language is Portuguese.
Indonesia got more than 3,000 languages.
Wow. And what is the official language in Indonesia?
We use Bahasa. Yeah.
Okay. And Bahasa is the language of Jakarta and Java Island, or not?
All Indonesia.
All Indonesian.
Yeah.
So it's spoken in all Indonesian.
Yes.
Okay, great.
Bahasa actually coming from the Malay, from the
Okay.
Malay.
So if a Malay speak, you can understand.
Yeah,
With
of course.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's one of the biggest languages in the world because Malay is the way we learn is that Malay language is a very big language.
Right.
So it rivals with Chinese, with Mandarin, and Bengali from India. But India,
yeah,
it is an interesting view how India managed to be bilingual in the way that people learn English to unite the different cultures, and also have Hindi, and then Bengali and other languages that you have in India. But English works as a major bridge, and I believe it will still go on, even if the United States power may decline. English will be around for a while, so it's important. No, yeah. Did you understand the presentation? You had any doubts? Anything you would like to add?
If you ask me, it's a I don't know other comrades, but I see it as a great materials forward to enhance, to enrich our insight, our perspective, and hopefully it might bring something for our next struggle, whether for FPPI, for the national federation scope across Indonesia, or SPGICT, because we are known as militant and we are very anti-privatization of our port, and also the scope of workers of Pelindo, Indonesia State-Owned Port Corporation, as Ervina said before, the largest port labor body under state structure that navigate tension between supporting modernization versus protecting workers' rights. I think that will be answering our challenges. I don't know, other comrades, maybe you want to say something about the presentation of Professor Marcelo?
You can also add with their expectations. Like, for example, I would like to profit for your presence here to address what are the challenges for the labor movement, especially dockers and maritime in Indonesia nowadays. What would be the biggest challenges to be addressed? Like, we can start with Eric. What will be these challenges today, in your opinion, Eric? Please, Comrade Eric.
Brother Eric, language barrier? I can translate for you.
Can you hear, Comrade? Yeah, go ahead.
Eric.
Yes, Comrade Marcelino, this presentation is very best, very good. This is for my attention, for my origin and country. This is very good, Mister. Thank you, Comrade. Good night.
But Surya, ask him what is the biggest challenge for labor trade unions in Indonesia.
Oke. Mas Erik, Marcelo nanya tantangan terbesar daripada perjuangan serikat saat ini apa gitu. Saya nanti translate.
Iya, baik, Mr. Comrade Marcelino ya. Tantangan terbesar di tempat kita ini regulasi yang belum mendukung terkait tentang perjuangan serikat. Terima kasih.
Marcelo, Eric said that the biggest challenge of our union movement is about labor law, that weakens the worker protection. And also I can put the added context. Since 2020, Indonesian government put the new labor law called Omnibus Law. As I said before, it weakens the worker protection and trigger unions resistance at that time, including from port workers. So one of the clause that the workers will be outsourcing workers forever. That's the biggest loss, and many clauses that weakens worker protection. That's what Eric said. That the biggest challenge is the labor law. So if I can,
yeah, go ahead, Surya.
Yeah, if I can add, beside the new labor law, maybe if we talk about maybe Ervina from Pelindo, the state-owned port operator, they consolidated in 2021. Previously, all commercial ports under Pelindo, but divided into region, Pelindo 1, 2, 3, 4, from Medan Port, Tanjung Priok Port, which we are now, and Surabaya Port, and the eastern side, Makassar Port. In 2021, they merged into one national port company and pushing for efficiency, digitalization, investor access, and so on and so on. And the second one is about the hilirisasi or downstream program of President Prabowo and logistics sovereignty. So government promotes the downstream program, as you mentioned before, to add the value, not to export raw materials anymore, but government promotes the downstream program and national supply chain resilience, but exclude workers from the strategic planning. Yeah, those two things I want to add with Eric perspective.
And Eric and other comrades, what is the average salary of Indonesian workers, dockers and maritime, especially dockers, in relation to the general minimum salary in Indonesia?
Anyone?
No, but translate to
oh, okay. Teman-teman, Prof. Marcelo nanya berapa gaji rata-rata pekerja pelabuhan dibandingkan dengan UMR.
It's not in dollars. It's related to other minimum salary. It's not in dollars.
Okay.
Gajinya relatif ya Bang Yan ya, sesuai dengan grade-nya kan ya. Grade-nya semakin besar kan sesuai golongan dan masa kerjanya kan seperti itu ya. Nah, kalau kita kan asisten manajer di tempat kita ya gajinya 10 juta gitu Bang Yan. Kira-kira menurut Comrade Marcelino bagaimana dan teman-teman yang lain bagaimana? Terima kasih Bang Yan.
Oke, yang lain? Ini Mbak Ervina ya yang
Yeah, hi. If I talk from a subholding view, I think it's difficult to say how much the average salary for port workers in Indonesia, because if we look at the background, before 2021, before port merger, we already have for SOE for port in Indonesia. There are Pelindo 1, 2, 3, and 4. In simple understanding, this is for region. In every region we have average salary, and then the difficulties or the challenge after merger, I think until now
I think it is almost 4 years after merger. We still struggle with worker salary because we have very different salary standard from from each region, like that.
Understood. But if we get from Jakarta
Yeah.
and compare to the national minimum salary, what is the difference? 1 time, 2 times, 3 times more, or the same?
Lower.
I can put the I try to answer your question, comrade. So Indonesian minimum wage, or we call UMR, nowadays in Jakarta is about $325
Okay.
per month, 5 days or 5 working days, 8 hours per day. In Surabaya, the second biggest city in Indonesia, $305, $305, and the eastern side of Indonesia, Makassar, is $220. That's the minimum wage. While in port workers, Eric got about 800 plus US dollar per month, and Ervina, how much?
Sorry.
Your yeah, the average of your salary. It's that's why he asked.
The average of our salary in subholding of container terminal, I think it's about 3 times if we compare to regional
Minimum wage.
salary. Yeah,
Okay.
minimum
Yeah.
wage.
So I think in average, comrade, 2 to 3 times in
Okay.
average compared to minimum wage average.
This is the average in the world. Okay. In France, for example, is like that, 2 to 3 times. So it's usually the average. But because what I say to the Cameroonese that has one, in Cameroon is one salary, okay? In Brazil is around 6 times.
Wow.
That's why they are attacking
Kapan
now
tanya, Kos?
Brazilians. They're attacking Brazilians a lot because of it's between
Hah?
4 to 6 times. Some people have
Baru nih,
more, some
berapa
people have
orang?
less, but not much.
Oh,
And the more, this is very important for us to reflect, the more respect
ada
we have,
yang kamar tuh aja.
the more the salary will be around 3, 2, 3, 4. The less organizing we have, it will be close to minimum salary. And it's not just salary, it's how the labor is organized, because we can see how the people here are prepared. So it's not just to get people in the streets to work inside the ports. Okay, so how the more organizing we have inside the port will determine the respect we have also, among other things, because you guys already have one important thing, is to work 5 days a week. Everybody works 5 days a week, or some people work 6 days a week?
I think average 5 days a week.
Okay. But translate what I said. I think it's important
Okay.
for others to...
Marcelo tanya, rata-rata teman-teman tuh ada yang kerja lebih dari 5 hari nggak seminggu?
Kalau di tempat kita 5 hari, Bang Yan, untuk jam
Oke, siap.
kerjanya seperti itu.
Kalau pelaut 7 hari seminggu, Pak Yan. For the seafarer, 7 days a week, you know.
Yeah.
Wow. we can work 7 days a week too, but it will be paid overtime, okay?
Yeah.
Normally, for
And the
seafarer
law,
is normally.
and the law doesn't allow working more than 6 days a week. Okay,
Yeah.
the law doesn't allow that.
Now for seafarer, that's normally 7 days a week,
Yeah.
but we have overtime and leave pay. We have leave pay.
Seafarers in Brazil, they fought all their lives, and Severino, for those who met Severino, our leader that just passed away, he was a big Brazilian leader. He was the vice president of the ITF, and then he passed away before 2018, and then he fought for 1 day worked, 1 day out. So 28, this is for maritime I'm talking, 20 days, 28 days inside the ship, 28 days out. So this was his biggest achievement, because at the beginning was 1 month out and 11 months working. So it was
Crazy.
a big change. Yeah, crazy. But for dockers, the biggest goal is to work 6 hours a day, 4 or 5 days a week, with the same salary. Okay, 2 and 3 or 4 salaries, minimum salary, because I don't calculate in dollars. I calculate in what you can buy in Indonesia. The more minimum salaries you have, the more you can buy in Indonesia. No, so that's why I don't use dollars to compare. I use minimum salaries, and I'm very happy to hear that you guys have 8 hours a day in average, and 5 days a week. So it's good, big, and 2 and 3 salaries as average. So it's a good beginning. So we can think about other things, because the law is something that comes with our parents, our forefathers gave us, and what we will give to our children. So it's the past, the present, and the future. Laws is just a picture, but it's also a movie. So it's we have to see in both ways. Other thing I would like to ask you, it's what is how many federations that organize dockers are in Indonesia?
Marcelo tanya berapa federasi yang mengorganisir buruh pelabuhan, pekerja pelabuhan di Indonesia. Ada yang tahu nggak?
Ada sekitar 7, Bang Dian ya. Ada FFPMI, FSPSI, FSPSI juga itu kan ada 3 ya. Maksudnya di situ memang ada PUK mereka ya. Kemudian kan FSPSI sendiri kan terpecah 3 kan, seperti itu ya. Kemudian ada juga kita FPPI. Kemudian ada juga yang dari Pelindo sendiri kan membuat federasi sendiri ya, Bang Dian ya. Seperti
Berarti
itu, Bang Dian. Sekitar
berarti ada FPPI, ada TKBM,
ya, ada FSPSI sendiri. FSPSI itu kan ada yang Jumhur, ada Yoris, ada Gane itu, kemudian dan lain-lain.
Satu lah ya.
Oh iya,
berarti ada sekitar,
tapi
ada sekitar terpecah berapa, Mas?
Ada 7, Bang Lian, sekitar itu. Ada juga yang kecil-kecil sih banyak, tapi yang besarnya itu ada 7 gitu.
Eric say that federation organizing port workers or dockers, there are about 7 federation, including FPPI.
Okay.
And also SPPI,
okay.
Airfinas Federation.
And do you speak with all federations before you're speaking with the government and the bosses, or you do it separated?
Marcelo tanya, ketika ngomong atau ingin menyampaikan sesuatu kepada pemerintah, apakah antar federasi ini ngobrol atau menyampaikan secara terpisah?
Ada namanya aliansi ya, Bang Ian. Aliansi 3 sektor ya di situ. Nah itu federasi-federasi itu ada berkumpul di situ. Ada juga kita di BUMN ada juga kan federasi sinergi BUMN, ada juga federasi Indonesia Raya dan seperti itu. Jadi ada namanya aliansi 3 sektor industri itu untuk sektor strategis gitu Bang Yan. Jadi kita sering gabung-gabung bersama.
Apa aja sektornya?
Iya, jadi di situ kan ada federasi BUMN strategis, kemudian ada FSPSI, ada FPMI, sektornya darat, laut, dan udara kalau itu Bang Yan, termasuk pelabuhan juga. Jadi kita ikut juga solidaritas di konfederasi, kemudian juga di aliansi-aliansi tersebut. Jadi kita bareng-bareng gitu Bang Yan.
So, did you get it, Marcelo?
No. I'm listening that he gave a very well set explanation because it's a rich explanation. So I was trying to think in which way did he go.
Okay. So basically, there are many federation in between sector in Indonesia. For the maritime or dockers itself, there are 7, but many others federation. So when we want to talk to government, we establish alliance.
Yeah.
Not formal federation or confederation, because in Indonesia the layering is confederation, federation, and the union.
Yeah, like Brazil.
Yeah. Okay. So when we want to say something or give pressure to government, so we form the alliance that unite every sector.
Okay.
Whether transportation sector or manufacturing and etc. So we put together and through this alliance, and we discuss with government. We maybe we put some action together, and yeah, we do it through the alliance.
Okay. And the last question before I give you any question is that a docker inside the port do you have different categories? Like in Brazil, we have 7 categories, functions, okay? But they are all under the same law. There's no first class Docker, second class Docker, outsourced Docker, precarious Docker. No, they are all Dockers in organized port. An organized port means everybody is under the same law. So how does it work in Indonesia? Translate so they can contribute.
Okay. Can I feedback to you a bit?
Yeah.
What can you elaborate the 7 functions?
Elaborate the functions is basically is divided into. I'm just talking about Brazil, so I can give you a picture. Okay, every country is different, but Brazil is that you have one that works for the government. They are under 3 federations, just 3.
Okay.
You said 7. We have 3.
Yeah.
So it's one that works for the government and administrates the port. So this is one work. Okay. Then we have the stevedores, the core of the dockers. This is the second one. And all the other 4, all the rest you can think, anyone. These are the third one, the port workers. Okay? All these 3 are under the same law.
Ya, oke. Marcelo tanya kalau pekerja pelabuhan di Indonesia, dia mengkomparasi dengan Brazil. Kalau Brazil itu setiap pekerja di Brazil yang bekerja di pelabuhan, apakah itu administrasi pelabuhan dan lain sebagainya, mungkin konteksnya termasuk pekerja pemerintah. Itu di bawah satu undang-undang. Nah, gimana implementasinya di Indonesia?
Iya Bang Yan, untuk terkait peraturan perundangan ya. Banyak yang konvensi ILO itu kan belum diratifikasi ya. Termasuk yang teman-teman kita itu di pelaut perikanan dan sebagainya ya. Termasuk juga yang di TKBM itu akhirnya banyak yang belum terlindungi gitu Bang Yan. Jadi akhirnya ada PM-PM sendiri kan seperti itu ya, tidak mengatur secara universal, tidak mengcoverage semuanya gitu Bang Yan. Jadi yang terkait pelabuhan itu banyak sekali aturan-aturan yang tidak sesuai dengan aturan internasional gitu Bang Yan. Terima kasih Bang Yan.
Yang lain?
Di Indonesia, oh ya, di Indonesia kan ada berapa kategori? Ada yang gaji bulanan kan kalau kita bilang, ada juga yang gaji harian. Kan di buruh pelabuhan ada yang gaji harian.
Oke. Berarti beda-beda ya. Secara fungsi tadi Mas Erik udah nyampein ya bahwa antar fungsi itu entah pelaut, entah yang kerja di perikanan, TKBM. Itu kan sebenarnya belum ada unifikasi kan secara aturan kan. Yang lain? Tibo? Ervina? Okay, Marcelo, from our comrades, they think that, and also I agree with them, that in Indonesia, the dockers or other workers, let's say the government workers, we work under separate law.
Separate laws. Okay.
Yeah. Let's say that we divide it into government workers, port workers under labor law, and also the precarious one, like those seafarers work in fisheries, or the stevedores, especially for the lashing, and because the function of the work, you know, we are separated by the lessers. They are very you know, precarious kind of function, so they don't have, or very minimal protection for them, and also for the seafarers of fisheries. Yeah, but port workers, we are under labor law, and the government workers that work in port, they have their own law. So different law, basically.
Okay, and I will explain, because every country is different. So Italy is different, Cameroon, El Salvador. We can after jump into El Salvador. They are having a big problem, but usually what I see is that they want to attack two things: how labor is organized inside the docks, inside the port. So how to break this organization to have precarious. This is one side. And the other is how to have the public authority to be erased, like in Australia. They don't have it in Australia. In Australia, it's a private authority, it's not a public. But this is an exception in the world. Usually you have a public authority. And then this one thing is linked to the other. When you don't have public authority, usually the workers are very bad, in a bad situation. And we have in Brazil two different situations. We have an exception. It's an organized port that is private, but usually organized ports mean public port. And the other thing is that, so that's why we fight for public authority. Public authority doesn't mean public port. It's just to have an authority there. We need a public authority. But if it's a public port, it's even better. And the other thing is how to have organizing dockers' labor. We have a law in Brazil that's being attacked right now. It's organizing labor law for dockers being attacked in our parliament. They want to change it, make another law. That's the Brazilians are fighting for that. And on the other side, I would ask if there is a will to have a legislation for the 7 federations. So they're thinking about to have a legislation to have improvement of the law for dockers in Indonesia.
Terakhir Marcelo nanya, apakah dari federasi atau serikat-serikat ini yang ada di pelabuhan, apakah ada keinginan untuk menyuarakan satu aturan terkait dengan katakanlah misalnya sektor pelabuhan gitu, untuk kepentingan sektor pelabuhan, terutama pekerja di pelabuhan. Ada nggak willing ke sana?
Ada Bang Wian. Jadi yang seperti saya sampaikan ya, ada namanya aliansi terkait sektor strategis ya di situ di pelabuhan terutama. Jadi banyak sekali yang bergabung di situ dan juga kita punya tujuan bersama untuk menyampaikan kepada pemerintah terkait kerja layak, upah layak dan jaminan pekerjaan seperti itu Bang Wian.
Ada lagi?
Jadi kita banyak sekali mengadakan FGD ya, forum grup diskusian, kemudian juga kita sering mengadakan rapat-rapat dan sebagainya. Nah nanti dari acara kegiatan tersebut kita akan merangkum sesuatu permasalahan bersama untuk disampaikan kepada pemerintah Bang Yan. Seperti itu Bang Yan.
Oke. Tadi Marcelo bilang ya, untuk merespon yang tadi terkait dengan aturan, bahwa serangan terhadap pekerja pelabuhan itu selalu pada 2 hal. Marcelo, I try to explain what happened with the attack and what happened in Brazil. Akan ada serangan kedua hal. Pertama, bagaimana untuk menghancurkan sesuatu yang sudah terorganisir, baik itu serikat maupun pekerja. Dan satu lagi, bagaimana untuk mengurangi otoritas publik, otoritas pemerintah. Ini yang terjadi di Australia. Jadi nggak ada lagi otoritas pemerintah secara penuh, semuanya dikelola oleh swasta. Nah saat ini Marcelo menyampaikan di Brazil itu ada serangan kepada pekerja pelabuhan, di mana mereka ketika ingin mengusulkan satu aturan perlindungan baru, itu mereka diserang di DPR-nya di sana di parlemen. Gitu. Nah tadi ada lagi nggak yang mau merespon terkait dengan apakah ada aturan atau undang-undang atau apapun yang kira-kira akan dikemukakan oleh teman-teman pekerja pelabuhan lewat federasi, lewat serikat. Kalau tadi kan Mas Erik sampaikan, oh ya ada FGD dari sektor strategis. Ada lagi nggak yang lain?
Ada Bang Wian terkait rencana revisi Undang-Undang Ketenagakerjaan itu Bang Wian. Jadi sering kita ada acara untuk terkait kajian hukum terkait usulan kepada DPR untuk revisi Undang-Undang Ketenagakerjaan supaya pro kepada buruh gitu Bang Wian. Terima kasih Bang Wian.
Oke, saya coba jelasin dulu ya ke Marcelo ya. So, comrade, what Eric said, I think I agree also with Eric that now there are quite many for focus group discussion to discuss and to face the challenge of the new labor law. So we challenge this labor law through the law mechanism and also to propose to Parliament to revise this labor law. So through this focus group discussion, these FGDs, from one FGDs to another FGDs, we hope that there will be decent wage, decent work, decent future for the port workers and also our children, like you said, that past, present, and the future.
Yeah.
We try to protect them.
Yeah, we have lots of things to discuss. So now I will explain how we will meet. I mean, for the next classes. But first, I would like to add. I made a speech about El Salvador. So the workers in El Salvador, they were sacked. All the trade unions in El Salvador, all dockers trade unionists were sacked. They were around in the two major ports, and the Turkish company that came, this Turkish company said that they didn't want the trade unionists anymore, and they would leave them out and just keep those that they would choose. So these workers are 5 months without salary, unfortunately. And we are trying to initiate a campaign to help them. And it's done through the ITF and the IDC, but also WFTU is trying to help because it's a Turkish company, and in Turkey it's a WFTU. And that's it. So we say every situation for the dockers will be different in different countries. Like the Cubans, for example, it's a blockade. So the dockers, they are in a bad situation. So it's so we will talk also about solidarity. The other thing is that we can meet at this time once in a month and have the working group at the same day after, if you want. We just have a break for like 15 minutes to have coffee, etc. And then we continue with another subject that you choose, okay, Surya, with Eric, Sofian, and all the other comrades here. You pick up one of the themes that we will talk besides the class. But I want to ask you to be patient, because we need to cover the program, like social thought, methodology, because this will help in the organizing process to have this. But then in the working group, we can discuss anything that you want, like we were doing now. We were discussing completely broad things. So it's just that, and I would propose, if you could see if we can meet until the 17th June, okay? You have a look, the better date for you, and then we set up the date, okay? And then it's like this. We are 1 hour 48 here. It's around 2 hours for the class. And the working group is around 1 hour, just 1 hour, okay? And both are recorded, so you can show to other people, and this will make also a class for them. And you will be the teachers, no? So you are the ones that will point the things for them. And you can also make another video, Surya, in your language. So based on this one. So it's with a resume. So it can work together. It's up to you. I'm here to serve, okay? I'm available to serve. Serve the effort to make a strong union and organizing, class-oriented, okay? Internationalist, combative. That's why I'm here. And I'm here to serve, okay?
So I will translate to comrades in Indonesia. Jadi terakhir sebelum ditutup, Marcelo menyampaikan nanti kita ketemu lagi 17 Juni, tapi nanti akan didiskusikan hari dan waktunya yang pas. Mungkin setelah ini kita bikin WhatsApp group ya untuk komunikasi. Tapi usulan Marcelo setelah kelas sekitar ya ini berapa ya, 2 jam, 1 jam 48 menit. Nanti mungkin setelah kelas next day-nya ada working group untuk mendiskusikan tadi social thought, metodologi dan lain sebagainya. Itu sekitar 1 jam. intinya Marcelo, apapun yang ingin diketahui, yang ingin ditanyakan, Marcelo menyampaikan posisi dia adalah untuk serving teman-teman gitu, untuk melayani teman-teman dalam hal ya tadi apapun insight, campaign, kebutuhan organizing ataupun political challenge di tempat kerja masing-masing, apapun yang ingin ditanyakan Marcelo to serve. Oke, ada lagi teman-teman?
For the last, I think it's interesting if we talk about how to have similar rules about both workers, no matter it is a public or private company. Yes, but I think in Indonesia it's so challenging because the main operator is under uh, is under private it is under public company like SOE, and for the supporting services like leasing and etc. Most of them is from private company. So if we want to read some rules that can rule all of both worker, I think it's difficult it's if it will be implemented in Indonesia. Because on the other side, we also face the challenge that uh, that we have to we have a challenge in we have the challenge to accomplish logistic cost efficiency. As we know, Indonesia have competitor in Singapore and Malaysia, our neighbor. Their tariff is so competitive and maybe lower than Indonesia. We have that challenge. So yeah, it's so challenging if we want to have similar wages in for workers in Indonesia, or maybe rule about worker. Maybe we can reach that maybe 10 or 20 years later. I don't know. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, I would say that this is the challenge, comrade. It's about Indonesian unity. We may have different collective bargain agreements, but a national law is very important to unite Indonesia. So our speech for the government is the necessity to unite Indonesian workers under the same umbrella for the minimum. Then we can add, like in France, I give you an example of France. France has a national law for every worker. Then it has a national law for dockers. Then it has a collective bargaining agreement for dockers that goes up. Then it has a port collective bargain agreement for dockers. And then it has an enterprise for dockers agreement. But one cannot lower the rights that the national law so that's the issue. And that's the challenge, as you said. And that's why we're here. We are here to try to reason how we can accomplish within our concrete conditions. No, this is the importance. And I'm glad that you said about Singapore dockers and Malaysian dockers. I would add Vietnamese and Korean, Japanese, and the Chinese dockers. And we need to know how they organized, because the Australian model is not a good model. It's not a good model, the Australian model. And we need more public participation on one hand, and we need more law on the other a hand. And this is the way that we have to deal with that. We are trying to link. So if you believe that it's important in the future, we can also have classes for these countries, Malaysia, Singapore, and I hope one day we'll have for Vietnam, for China, very important, and for Japan and South Korea. This is also one big goal we have, and because we have to understand that the prosperity that this trade brings, it has to mean prosperity for our countries, our communities, our cities, and ourselves. This is our challenge too. So it's I would like to thank you a lot. Let's put this way. Surya will be making the link. So I apologize for not having the Bahasa language, so we could get more. But Surya is there to make the link, and I would love to congratulate you also, comrade, for your English and your effort to speak in English. And we will do it slowly, so Surya can mediate. And I think the course will be interesting for you. And I hope that we can improve to get to other people, to other countries, and to get experience exchanged. No? So we can unite better. So I give the floor to Surya. If Surya wants to add, or anybody else, and we go
Okay,
into...
I think we get Vice President of Pelindo Federation or Union. I don't know. The name is Reino.
Okay.
Maybe Patricia, could you help, please, to put Reino?
Reino, is it Reino there? Patrícia, o Reino tá aí fora para ele... Obrigado.
No, it's Rio.
It's Rio?
No, not Reino. Reino.
Reino.
Reino.
No.
No, he's not there.
No.
Maybe he was earlier, but not now.
Okay. So
now next time you will tell me who we will add, and then we will do it in the middle of the and all the others can be waiting. It's not a problem, because it's just to talk. It's just, and I would love to ask you to put the cameras on, including Rio, so we can have a picture. And if Alex is there, I don't know if Eric is there. I don't know if he left. Você sabe se o Eric tá no bastidor, Patrícia?
Rio, yuk nyalain kamera yuk. Satu lagi siapa ya? Om Sofyan ya?
Marcelo, pode repetir o nome para mim, por favor?
Eric.
Sofyan.
Eric.
Sofyan.
Or Eric, nyalain kamera.
Yeah. So, tira uma foto, Patrícia, por favor.
Tirando a foto. Smile, please. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Patricia.
So we have the picture for our first class, okay? And I would like to thank you, Eric, and all the comrades to be present. Sofyan, thank you so much for the beginning with the chat we had. Rio and all the others that are present. And I will get to know you more with the time. And and then I will...
Surely you will.
Okay. It was an honor, and I hope to get better for the next. Okay?
Thank you, Marcelo.
Thank you, Marcelo, Patricia.
Thank you.
Thank you, Marcelo. Patricia.
Thank you.
Patricia.
Thank you, Patricia.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Patricia,
Patricia.
Marcelo, all the comrades. Thank you.
Marcelo, thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you.